Good afternoon. It's Sunday, May 1st. I'm Aryeh O'Sullivan, and this is IBA News broadcasting from Jerusalem. Relations between Israel and Germany remain close. This, according to a senior Israeli official, in response to a report in the German weekly Der Spiegel, suggesting that ties between Berlin and Jerusalem have deteriorated. The German report claimed that there are calls within the German chancellery demanding that Berlin rethink its relationship with Israel because of the settlement construction and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's refusal to move forward on the peace talks with the Palestinians. The newspaper quoted a deputy floor leader for the Social Democrats Party saying there is a growing perception in the German government that Netanyahu is taking advantage of Germany's friendship in order to achieve his own political goals. Another German official, a member of Merkel's Christian Democratic Union and the chair of the Foreign Affairs Committee in the Bundestag, was quoted as saying Israel's policies are not contributing to the country remaining a Jewish and democratic state. Weeks after a parole board rejected former President Moshe Katzav's appeal for his early release, his lawyers plan to seek a presidential pardon. The request will be submitted to the Justice Minister Ayelet Shaked in the coming days before it lands on the desk of President Reuven Rivlin. Media reports quoting unnamed legal sources said Rivlin is likely to approve the request if accompanied by a psychiatric evaluation claiming that Katzav's mental health has deteriorated. Katzav was convicted on December 30th, 2010 on 2 counts of rape, along with other sexual offenses committed during his term as president and from the days he served as a government minister. He began serving his sentence in 2011 and is due to be released in December 2018. Katzav never expressed regret for his behavior, claiming he is innocent of all wrongdoing. Professor Aviad Hakohen, the dean of the Sharei Mishpat Academic College, says the Supreme Court would not likely overrule whatever Rivlin decides.
This case, I think, because Moshe Katzav didn't say that he made a crime and didn't admit ever. So I think that the only option that the president has is only to reduce some of the punishment. The discretion of the president in this case is very broad, and of course the president has to think about all the possibilities and to give the right weight to each one of the points that should be in order to give a pardon or not to give a pardon. The president is not above the law, and because of this, the High Court of Justice can cancel the president's decision. Even though in the past there were some cases where the High Court of Justice dealt with such cases, but I think that the chances that whatever will be the decision, I think the chances that the High Court of Justice will change it are really zero.
Former London Mayor Ken Livingstone was suspended from the Labour Party after he maintained that Adolf Hitler supported Zionism before he went mad and killed 6 million Jews. The former London mayor claimed his words were a historic fact. Livingstone's comments drew outrage from across the political spectrum and occurred just days before the Labour Party contest elections in London, Scotland and Wales. Britain's Labour Party announced it would set up an inquiry to investigate how to tackle anti-Semitism. Party leader Jeremy Corbyn released a statement on Friday saying he plans to propose a new code of conduct explicitly banning anti-Semitism and other forms of racism. In a weekend LBC radio interview, an unrepentant Livingstone refused to apologize for his comments and denied they were anti-Semitic, but did say he regretted mentioning Hitler.
Can you climb off it, Ken? Well, climb off it.
If I'd known what this eruption, all this waste of time was going to be, I wouldn't have mentioned Hitler. But I've been.
So are you sorry for mentioning Hitler?
I wish I
Just
hadn't,
say
because
you wish you hadn't. And are you sorry?
Sorry, apologise for telling the truth.
But are you sorry that you mentioned Hitler?
Are you sorry you mentioned Hitler?
I regret doing that.
Are you sorry you mentioned Hitler?
Because sorry sounds like I'm apologising for what I said.
No, you're not, Ken. You're just allowing yourself to get back into it, and all these people that dislike you and just want to have a go at you. You're taking, you're shooting their fox. I'm sorry for mentioning Hitler.
Well, I am, because it's caused all this nonsense.
Well, say it then. I am sorry for mentioning Hitler.
Well, I mean, I'm not getting into some sort of apology
Ken,
here.
I'm sorry for mentioning Hitler. It's so easy.
If I could go back,
You're not a Hitler man.
But
I'm sorry for mentioning Hitler.
I am never not going to say what I believe to be true. And as I say, if the Prime Minister of Israel says exactly the same thing 2 days before, how can anyone accuse you?
In a short time from now, hundreds are expected to take part in local May Day demonstrations to mark the International Day of the Workers. Protests will kick off in Tel Aviv, where a big rally is slated to take place at the headquarters of the Histadrut Labor Federation. Over the weekend, some 3,000 workers, Jews and Arabs, held the traditional parade in downtown Nazareth. They waved the red banner and placards calling on the government to cease its capitalist policies, which they claim are crushing the livelihood of the proletariat and not doing enough to bring down the cost of living. The parade in Nazareth was organized by the communist organizations in Israel and called for uniting Arab and Jewish laborers. Staying with International Workers' Day and joining us now from our Tel Aviv studio to shed some insight on the issue is Zionist Union MK Professor Yossi Yona. Thanks for joining us, Yossi. Professor Yona, you're about to head out to take part in the first May demonstrations. In light of everything that's going on, is the spirit of May Day still relevant these days?
Very much so, Arya. Just to think about the discrepancy existing in Israel between the rich and the poor. Think about how many workers are actually not directly employed by companies and by the employees, by the employers. And the gap between wage earners in Israel is one of the largest, the deepest in the Western world. So there are more than one good reason why people should go to the street, take to the street and declare their commitment, if you wish, to an agenda that it is associated with the 1st of May.
Many of the participants said they take part today are from the younger generation, with a large crowd from youth movements. Well, how do you explain their involvement? Are they really interested in about their future?
Yeah, and this is the most beautiful thing that we're actually seeing, that the spirit of the 1st of May is being rekindled by youth in Israel. And I think that it actually signifies, it is indicative of the new spirit going through our society, our country, after many years of, how to put it, almost total indifference to the spirit of the 1st of May and actually to the social agenda associated with it. And now we see that many people actually becoming disillusioned with what they have thought for quite a long time, that free market would be the solution to all socioeconomic problem, panacea for all social problems. So now, as I said before, Aryeh, we see a rekindling of this spirit, and I'm very, very happy about that, and I'm very happy to take part in this parade, of course.
Professor, you were among those who were deeply invested in the social justice movement, and you actually served as a prominent member of the movement's advisory board during this widespread social demonstrations 5 years ago. There are those who argue that in the long run, not much came out of that huge public outcry. What do you say to that?
Well, let's put it this way, painfully, I'm tending to agree with you, Aryeh. And I think that at the time when the people took to the streets, an unparalleled number in the history of Israel, the problem was that people went, took to the street because they felt, sort of in a plight, an economic plight. The demonstration, I may say, was not accompanied by a real sense of what is the problem, what are the causes of the problem, and what is the solution to the problem. There was no social consciousness accompanied the outburst at the time. Because, as I said before, this is after a long year of indifference, or maybe even long year of indoctrination of free marketism. And it takes time until people actually would re-embrace or re-appreciate, if you wish, the high ideas and values that actually should be embraced and should be instilled in people, so they would go again, take to the street again with, if you wish, a comprehensive worldview aiming to bring about structural and deep changes in the Israeli society, and mainly in the Israeli economy, and of course in the Israeli job market.
So, Professor Yona, what substantial steps should be taken? What do you think should be done about this?
first and foremost, what we've got to do is to bring about a change in the main economic policy of the government. And what I mean by that, increasing considerably public expenditures to social services. You have to note the fact, Aryeh, that in terms of this parameter, Israel is lagging badly behind the OECD countries in a way in the amount of resources allocated to social services. So that would be a wonderful first step that is required in order to create here a better society, a more equal society, a more solidaristic society.
Well, you managed to translate your support and the momentum for the social justice movement into political power. Would you say that being in the opposition right now, you can best represent the demands for the social movement?
Well, we are actually waging a noble fight in the opposition, but I have to add, sadly, that the lines between oppositions and coalition are not as clear as they used to be in the past. And we are able actually to forge many times some joint programs, joint fights, struggles across parties, so that the social democratic values are not, how to put it, allocated as used in the past between parties. So you see some possibilities in which actually I'm involved, directly involved, trying to recruit people also from the coalition to bring about some legislative initiatives in lieu of the social agenda. I'm believing it. Though at the same time, some people, even in the opposition party, I guess they lean more to free market economy than some people that would be in the coalition parties.
Professor Yonah, very briefly, there are rumors that perhaps the Labour Party or the Zionist Union will join the coalition. What do you think about that?
The rumors are always there. And let me just say that, Aryeh, I don't think that we should endorse a position of saying never no. Never, never. What actually should be our position is the following. Should Netanyahu's government would be willing to bring about a real change in its policy vis-a-vis the negotiations with the Palestinian Authority, vis-a-vis, as I mentioned before, economic policies, and having a commitment, a deep commitment against legislative initiatives undermining Israeli democratic structure, then I think that we should consider seriously a decent and honest suggestion brought before us. Though I don't think that there is such a willingness on the part of the government to meet us half the way on the issues that I just mentioned, and therefore I'm quite skeptic as to the real chance of joining in or the Labour Party or the Zionist Union joining the coalition government headed by Netanyahu.
Well, Knesset member Professor Yossi Yonah, thanks so much for joining IBA News, and happy May Day.
Thank you very much, Aryeh.
Hungarian authorities informed Israel today that the body of 40-year-old Ophir Gross was found in a forest in the south of the country 10 days after he was declared missing. His father and other family members are en route to Hungary to identify the body. Gross, a medical engineering student who studied in Germany, left for Hungary over a week ago and was in touch with his family before the Passover Seder night when he spoke with his sister. Ophir told her that his girlfriend had been forced to return to Budapest and that he had met a young man who offered him a place to stay. The Hungarian authorities suspect Gross was murdered. Israeli politicians attended Maimuna festivities across the country, sampling the traditional sweet pancakes and other sugary delights. After days of Passover and the days of Matzah, the time has come for mufleta, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said in Yavne, referring to the sweet pancakes. He thanked the country's soldiers, who he said were the main reason for a lull in the violence over the holiday. Opposition leader Isaac Herzog celebrated in Beit Shemesh, and Zionist Union MK Yoel Hasson posted the first mufleta on his Twitter account. Yesh Atid leader Yair Lapid attended Maimuna festivities in Netanya, saying there is nothing more joyous than a happy holiday. Today, festivities continue across the countries, with many choosing to hold barbecues in the parks. Thousands of Christian worshipers attended the fire ceremony that took place at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem's Old City. Yesterday's holy fire ceremony, led by the Greek Orthodox Patriarch Theophilus III of Jerusalem, occurs every year on Holy Saturday, the day preceding Orthodox Easter. At exactly 2 in the afternoon, a fire is believed to ignite miraculously from inside the dark tomb of Christ. The Patriarch emerges from the tomb and passes the holy fire on to the zealous worshippers packed into the ancient church, believed to be the site of Jesus Christ's crucifixion, burial, and resurrection. The Palestinians are demanding an apology from the organizers of this year's Eurovision Song Contest after a leaked document stipulated that certain flags, including the Islamic flag, the Palestinian, and the Basque ones, were banned from being displayed. Palestinian official Saeb Erekat called the decision shameful, biased, and unacceptable, and demanded the European Broadcasting Union apologize to the millions of Palestinians worldwide. Already on Friday, contest officials issued an apology after the decision to ban the Basque flag caused an uproar in Spain. An EBU spokesman said the flag policy is not targeting any territory or organization, noting only flags of contest members and United Nations states can be flown. The spokesman stressed this song contest is free from all political statements and that the policy was agreed on by all 42 participating broadcasters. The Palestinians enjoy the status of observer state at the United Nations. In keeping with our Sunday tradition, here are 5 good news stories that may make you feel a bit proud. Israeli-developed company Disalitech wins Breakthrough Water Technology Company of the Year prize at the 2016 Global Water Awards. In a rare procedure, Israeli doctors at the Hadassah Medical Center in Jerusalem saved a 3-year-old Palestinian child from paralysis. Renowned Israeli jazz saxophonist Eli de Giber performed last night at the White House as part of the International Jazz Day concert hosted by U.S. President Barack Obama. In the field of sports, Israeli gymnast Alex Shatilov won a silver medal at the International Gymnastics Federation World Championship Cup in Croatia this weekend. And something that hit straight home, former IBA commentator and Jerusalem Post correspondent Matt Gutman won an Emmy for hosting his outstanding children's series Sea Rescue that airs across the U.S. More than 3 million people thronged to the nation's beaches, parks, and nature reserves over the Passover holiday, leaving behind hundreds of tons of garbage. The Jewish National Fund noted there was a 10% increase in the number of visitors to its sites, with 1.2 million people soaking up the warm weather. A total of 700,000 holidaymakers visited the shores of the Sea of Galilee over the holiday, where beaches reached full capacity. The Kinneret Cities Association noted that visitors left more than 500 tons of trash, but insisted there was an improvement in environmental awareness compared to previous years. Well, could there be an oil field worth over $1 billion shekels in the Dead Sea area? Energy company Israel Opportunity reports chances are high of discovering an oil field worth 1.2 billion shekels in the lowest point on Earth. According to a resources report published this morning by the company's sharing license for over 94 square kilometers in the area, the reserve is estimated to contain some 7 million barrels of petrol. Oil was first discovered on the spot in 1995, but the explorers declined to develop the field due to the low oil prices at the time. Israel Opportunity plans to advance the project with an expected drilling budget of $5 million. Taking a look at local finance, and with no currency trading on Sundays, the shekel remains the same, while share prices on the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange were down in trading. Here's a look at the numbers. Turning to the weather, and it will be partly cloudy tomorrow with a drop in temperatures, but still be above average temperatures for this time of the year. Here's a look at the expected highs and lows at home and abroad for the next 24 hours. That's our broadcast for today. Please join us again tomorrow when Laura Cornfield will be here to bring you the latest breaking news from Israel. I'm Ari O'Sullivan, wishing you a pleasant evening. Shalom from Jerusalem.